Welcome, Sara, to the Road to Net Zero with Khaleej Times. Our podcast focuses on sustainability, focuses on paving the way for UAE hosting COP28. And mashallah, you are one of the most distinguished personals in sustainability. You already received an award from the UNESCO for your research. So, can you please tell us a little bit about you?
Of course. My name is Sara Alkhoori. I am a PhD candidate in mechanical engineering at Khalifa University, majoring in material science and engineering. I work on developing and optimizing catalytic materials to convert palm oil to produce renewable or carbon neutral fuels such as biogasoline, biodiesel, and sustainable aviation fuels. So I believe that this is an area of a very strategic importance for the United Arab Emirates and particularly for the energy sector. What promoted me to really do research in this area is, as we know, that the UAE basically heavily depends on the fossil fuels or petroleum, let's say, to fuel the transportation sector. And this is, as we know, is a non-renewable source. So on the long run, this threatens the security of the energy sector.
Absolutely.
So, trying to find alternatives and doing kind of research that basically what I'm doing in my case, trying to use a sustainable source like a palm oil, and then out of that produce a renewable fuels will basically alleviate the climate change issues and basically be in line with our leaders' mission, which they basically tend to achieve by the 2050, which basically increases the dependence on renewable fuels, increase it from 25 to 50%. And all of these, basically, what we are trying to do or we are trying to achieve in research is basically in line with the UAE Year of Sustainability as well as the COP28 goals.
Excellent. What drove you, Sara, to get into this field?
Okay, so I started my journey in science in 2013, where I joined Khalifa University to do a bachelor's in mechanical engineering. I started with an idea to be or to major in actually nuclear engineering. But eventually I ended up with something a bit different, but was still around the area of renewables. So this basically kind of guided me to do my or to continue my education to do master's in mechanical engineering, the same university, and then do PhD. Yes, PhD. But my PhD basically focuses on material science and engineering, which is part of the mechanical engineering. So what made me basically go into science is that since I was in high school, I really find myself that I enjoy scientific subjects like math, physics, chemistry, more than other like history and geography, which I found it really difficult for me. Then I said myself, yeah, maybe that's really the field that I belong to, or this is the area that I want to, be known for in science. And this basically what made me join Khalifa University to do, as I said, a bachelor's in mechanical engineering. And through this journey, basically, I did some research, let's say research internships, or got exposed to research more. And then I found that it's really interesting. Research is maybe not all the people understand what research is or how do we do research. It's something basically.
Can you break it down? Teach us a little bit about what
Yeah,
research is,
absolutely. It's basically you have a plan for something. You plan to, let's say, develop materials in my case.
Okay.
And then you go to the lab, you try to fabricate those materials. You have a certain plan based on the theories and based on previous results from the people in the literature. So you try to build your materials and design it. And eventually you do the tests on those materials. So with the research is that we cannot really say that, my materials are going to give you those results, 1, 2, 3. That's not exactly the case. With research, we do optimize. We plan based on previous results, but what we get eventually, either the results that we opted for or something else. But eventually, with whatever we get, we try to develop it to even be more, to be better than what we basically planned for it. And that's the beauty of research.
There is always time for improvement. There is always time to build upon the research itself. There is always time to kind of, reach a specific, I wouldn't say a cap, the research. I think
Yes.
the research in general does not have a cap.
Really.
And more or less, please, Annie, correct me if I'm wrong, sometimes people fail to understand, if they don't come from a scientific background, how research is being applied in general.
Yes, I do agree with you that sometimes people have this conflict of understanding that, doing research basically is going to give you an output or an expected output. But that shouldn't really be the case, because with research, as I said, you're not really sure with what you're doing.
Mhm.
Okay, though it is based on a really solid plan or based on solid facts from previous works. But again, you do that thing because as you develop new materials or you work on something that is completely new in the research field. And this is what we do basically. It's not that we try to reproduce whatever other people are doing. So we try to have something new. We try to develop things, new solutions to any problem that we have. So you might get some challenges with that.
So you aspire for a breakthrough, without a specific timeline.
Exactly. You cannot really set a timeline for research. Maybe you can have a time. Let's say you can have a time frame. Okay, for example, let's say 1 or 2 years from now. But that doesn't necessarily mean that within 2 years you can have or achieve the results that you're opting for, because that's the thing of research, which I believe that a lot of people who come from industry might have that conflict. That okay, we can invest in research, we can do research, we can hire people to do research, and we need outputs by this time, let's say, which is really difficult to say in research. That doesn't mean that okay, you stay all the years doing the same project, working on the same project. No. But again, you have to be reasonable and very realistic with research that things might happen along the way. You might not really get the results that you're expecting, and that's very normal.
So how can we, for instance, just elaborate in terms of when it's time to move away from specific research?
I think it's really difficult to say when it's the time to move away, because usually for us, when we work on particular research or project, you basically have the passion to drive that project.
Even if
And
it takes a decade.
uh, well, in my case, it didn't really take a decade, but so yeah, maybe. Well, eventually there must be a time that you quit something if you really don't find the full support from in terms of financial supports and in terms of research, let's say research fundings, research facilities. You eventually are going to quit whatever you're doing because of all of these constraints. But still, maybe that will not really make you stop your passion about the thing, because for us it's like you're working on something, you're targeted to achieve something,
Yes.
and eventually you want to drive this thing forward. It's like you don't want anything to stop you. So this is how we basically work, and this is what I really want everyone who's doing research, or anyone who is basically in science, that things might come along the way, challenges, obstacles. You will struggle a lot, but don't make things stop you from doing whatever you're doing, especially if you believe that there would be, or there you are making a difference if you drive this thing.
So among the traits, it's resilience.
Exactly. You have to be very resilient. But to some extent, as you mentioned, that okay, there might be some point that you need to quit because of financial stabilities and or infrastructures that you don't really have to support you through this journey. But again, this is one of the things, or one of the challenges that I faced as well. But what we try to do is that basically we try to see collaborations with people abroad, outside the country, outside the UAE. So if let's say that we don't have the right infrastructure here, we're missing things, for example, in the lab, that doesn't mean that we stop it.
Absolutely.
Yes, so we have to carry it forward. You have to seek for collaboration with people abroad, international collaborations, this will not just give you exposure to other cultures, keep the pace with other, advanced countries, but also would give you access to facilities that or
Absolutely.
infrastructure that you don't have it.
And it's a noble cause after all.
Exactly.
It's a cause for
Yes.
humanity. It's a cause for, the environment. It's a cause for the planet in general. And,
Exactly.
I think having much more research and, let's say, findings in terms of how to neutralize carbon efficiency is a key aspect that we need to do globally. Did you, by any chance, find any difficulties in other parts around the world in terms of coming to this consensus with climate change? How necessary it is to do something about the climate?
Yes, to point out on your question, I actually got accepted for a conference that was held recently in Prague. It's called the RAPACAT conference. This is one of the prestigious conferences in the area where I work on, which is catalysis. So my proposal or abstract submission for that conference got accepted because it was an area, as I mentioned, that is a very hot topic, and especially for the West, where basically they have insecurities in terms of energy. So my abstract got accepted for an oral presentation, which is very challenging actually for that particular conference to get accepted. Usually, people get poster presentations. And you get thousands of people actually presenting for that exhibition and conference. But I was really lucky to have the chance to present my work orally to the people. And as I said, because this is not really, this climate challenge or an issue is not really regional in the country, but it's also global. And this is what we see basically in conferences and in research that people basically target particular research topics.
What keeps motivating you and driving you, Sarah, to continue with your research? What is your aspiration? What kind of legacy do you want to have? Yani in this field specifically.
Okay. If we take it more general in science, basically, as I said, I really find myself in this field, other than let's say any other field. Okay, so science, basically, I find it's my place. The lab is my home, where basically I invest my time in, and I do most of my work over there. So doing research was really something that made me, how to sort of say, other than finding myself, I really enjoy it. Because as I said, it's the beauty of doing something or going to somewhere that is really not known. And if you know from the history, basically most of the discoveries that were there, basically were out of coincidence. They
Yes.
were not really planned for, and that comes from research. So this is what basically makes me really enjoy doing research. Now, a part of this, focusing on project that basically that is in line with our leadership goals and the UAE basically agenda for coping the climate change challenges, is basically really a good motivation for me to stick to whatever I'm doing in terms of research. Because eventually, if I try to find a solution, this is going to benefit, first of all, my country, and then can be basically delivered to or be kind of promoted to the rest of the world. So this is a really good drive for me, basically to do whatever I'm doing, and eventually being an expert in this field, which I believe is really a rising field, is a very hot topic, would really on the future make me or give me like a leading voice in the field, where basically I kind of contribute to make decisions, really good decisions that can drive the advancements of the country forward.
Something else came on my mind while you were speaking. I was thinking of the idea of women over here in UAE. Do you think that Emirati women are not empowered, or do you think that Emirati women are lagging behind with all of this movement? From your shoes, from your angle, yeah.
I really don't find this a challenge here in the UAE, especially, or the region, that, we feel that women are less empowered, women are less recognized in STEM fields. As I said, I joined Khalifa University for my bachelor's. So we're talking about 10 years from now when I did my bachelor's. So when I was in the mechanical engineering, though the classrooms were kind of male dominated than female, but I still didn't find that a challenge because the university itself and the UAE have, provided us with the really right environment that, us as a woman, we feel really empowered, we feel recognized, and we got equal opportunities in everything, on every aspect, in terms of research, in terms of studying, in terms of scholarships. So that is not really a challenge, I would say, in the region.
And specifically in UAE,
In the
it
UAE,
has never been a challenge.
it's not a challenge. I'm talking about really from a personal experience, and I didn't find really a challenge.
And we see women, along all of the sectors, ministerial positions, STEM research, even sport fields and everything.
Yes, exactly. This is what we see, and this is what we witness actually from this. If we say that people, they're just behind the scenes, women are just doing research in labs, or they're not recognized, no one knows what they're doing. But actually, we do have people in ministerial positions, we have people in every aspect. As you mentioned, we have in football, we have different fields. So we cannot really say that women are not being promoted or being less recognized. Particularly in research, I can say that UAE is one of the leading countries who initiated, focusing research on sustainable energy. Because, as I mentioned, in one of the conferences that I went to, the ROPACAD, basically, that was most of the topics that people were talking about. Where basically, it's a really hot topic, and it's very nice to see that UAE as a small country is basically leading the world, and it's basically in line with other advanced countries in the world that we're doing this research. It's not just we're just relying on whatever we have in terms of sources, in terms of energy, but no, we're trying to find solutions to other problems. Maybe it's not something that we have it as a problem nowadays, like other, let's say, countries in the West in terms of energy insecurities. But for the future, we kind of try to work for that. It's not just we try to solve whatever problems that we have now, but I think our leader's vision is basically to work for that, to work for the future more than to work whatever we have done in the past and whatever challenges that we just have for now. So this is really important because this makes you, I think, one of the leading countries in this, no matter how advanced no matter how behind are you in terms of research or science, taking the initiative to start something, to drive the cause. I think it's very important, and this is what we're seeing in terms of research, and especially in the United Arab Emirates.
Tell me a little bit about how did you overcome your challenges, if you have any challenges, or if you had any challenges that you faced down the road.
One of the things that I would really like to bring up during my journey through science and research is the challenge of trying to kind of do or achieve the work and research responsibilities, the balance between both of them. And I really believe that this could be the challenge for many other women in the United Arab Emirates, where they basically try to kind of, find the right balance between work and family. But with having the right, the support system surrounding you, you can really achieve whatever you have in terms of goals and passion. So in my case, I was really grateful to have my family, my husband, to support me all the time with this. Though I had a lot of struggles, will I really make it through science? Will I really make it through research? Am I really capable enough for this challenge? And I think with the support that they gave me, and with the support that I also got and the guidance from my academic advisor, this basically pushed me a lot and made me who I am today. And I'm really grateful for that. And this would be really my advice to every woman and every dreamer in the UAE who has passion to drive something forward, to make a change. Don't let anything or any challenge basically stops you from doing this. So you have basically, you're capable and you have the power to make that difference.
I think the road to net zero is not impossible. Having distinguished people like you on board to drive this objective and goal and aspiration. Thank you for being with us, Sarah. Is there anything you'd like to say to your audience?
Thank you very much for giving me the chance to kind of promote the work that we are doing here in the UAE and recognize us as a woman doing science in the field. And I'm very grateful basically to be a part of this thing, part of the cause or part of the change that basically we plan for. And hopefully, with the advancements that we have in research and science, we will basically be able to
Pave
uh,
the way to the.
pave the way, yes, to the road to net zero.
Thank you.